You didn't leave because you stopped loving them. You left because you were tired of begging to be heard. If you're an Aquarius, this message is not random. It's finding you right on time. There is someone from your past who thought your silence meant weakness. They believed you would always stay, always wait, always forgive. But the moment you walked away, their world started breaking in places no one else could see. This is not about revenge. This is about a wake-up call. Because sometimes the universe doesn't punish people. It simply shows them what they lost. If this feels like your story, type I receive in the comments. And stay with me, because what's coming next will change the way you see this connection forever. There is a quiet moment no one talks about. It doesn't arrive with anger. It doesn't come with tears. It comes with stillness. You can be standing in your kitchen, or sitting alone in your car, or staring at your phone, waiting for a message that never comes. And suddenly, something inside you settles. Not breaks. Not explodes. It settles. You realize that you have been carrying the weight of two people. Your voice, their silence, your effort, their distance. And in that moment, Aquarius, you don't feel dramatic. You don't feel brave. You simply feel tired in a way sleep cannot fix. There is a kind of exhaustion that lives in the heart. It comes from repeating the same truth, hoping this time it will land differently. Hoping this time they will finally see you. You tried to explain without sounding emotional. You tried to stay calm when your chest was screaming. You tried to shrink your needs so the space between you would feel smaller. But something kept growing instead. A quiet emptiness. A hollow place where connection used to live. Have you ever noticed how silence can feel louder than words? You didn't walk away because love disappeared. You walked away because love was no longer being met. There is a difference that changes everything. Leaving did not feel like freedom at first. It felt like grief. It felt like setting down something heavy only to realize your arms were shaking from holding it so long. You questioned yourself. You replayed conversations in your mind. You wondered if asking to be understood was asking for too much. And then something rare happened. You chose yourself without making it a war. You chose peace without needing them to agree. That is not weakness. That is emotional courage. You did not leave to make a statement. You left because your soul needed air. Because love should not feel like a negotiation for basic care. Aquarius, you are not meant to disappear inside relationships. You are meant to expand within them. When you finally stepped away, the world did not collapse, but your inner world shifted. You began to hear your own thoughts again. You noticed the way your breath slowed. You felt the quiet return to your body. And in that silence, a new awareness was born. You started to see how much you had been giving to someone who was not meeting you halfway. You started to recognize that being misunderstood for too long teaches you to doubt your own truth. What would your life feel like if your needs were not something you had to defend? This moment is not an ending. It is a doorway. Not to loneliness, but to clarity. Because when you stop explaining yourself to someone who refuses to listen, you begin to hear the universe guiding you towards something gentler, towards something real. Stay with me, Aquarius. There is more unfolding beneath the surface. There is a strange shift that happens when you finally choose yourself. It does not look dramatic from the outside. No one claps, no one stops you. But somewhere in a place you cannot see, the balance begins to move. You left quietly, yet something inside the other person started to unravel. Not all at once, not in chaos, but slowly, in moments when no one was watching. They believed you would circle back, that your absence was temporary, that your heart would eventually bend toward them again. They had grown comfortable with your patience, with the way you waited, with how you softened your truth so it would not disturb them. What they never noticed was the way your spirit had been stretching for space, how each unspoken hurt was shaping a quiet resolve inside you. Aquarius, have you ever wondered how people confuse consistency with permission? They mistook your loyalty for permanence. They mistook your silence for agreement. They mistook your love for something that would always stay, no matter how it was treated. But love does not thrive where it is taken for granted. It withers there. When you stepped away, the world around them did not immediately change. They still woke up, still went to work, still spoke your name as if you were just temporarily missing. Yet something subtle had begun to collapse. The comfort of knowing you were there. The quiet safety of your presence. The way you held emotional space without asking for applause. It was only after the stillness settled that the echoes reached them. Moments where they expected your voice, your understanding, your steadiness. And suddenly they felt the weight of what they had ignored. Not because you demanded it, but because your absence revealed it. There is a kind of mirror that only loss can hold. It reflects truth without mercy. And sometimes, people do not recognize the value of what they have until they are standing in the space it once filled. This is not about punishment. It is about awareness. Because when someone assumes you will always stay, they stop tending to the relationship. They stop choosing you. They stop seeing you as someone who can walk away. And yet, here you are. Living proof that you were never meant to be a placeholder in your own life. You did not leave to teach a lesson. But a lesson was still learned. Somewhere, they are beginning to understand that what felt permanent was actually precious. And that precious things require care. What would change in your life if you fully believed you are worthy of being chosen? Aquarius, this moment is not heavy with regret. It is filled with clarity. Because you are no longer trying to prove your worth. You are allowing it to be seen, even if from a distance. And in that quiet space between what was and what is becoming, something powerful is taking shape. Stay close. There is more light ahead than you realize. At first, it feels like a small disturbance. A subtle shift in the air. Nothing loud. Nothing obvious. Just a strange sense that something is missing and cannot be replaced. They try to continue as before. They fill their days. They surround themselves with noise. But the quiet keeps finding them when they least expect it. In the early hours of the morning. In empty rooms. In conversations that suddenly feel shallow. What once felt familiar now feels distant. What once felt certain now feels fragile. And slowly the truth begins to surface. The things they once overlooked start to stand out in memory like soft lights in the dark. Your patience when they were restless. Your kindness when they were distant. Your steadiness when their world felt unstable. They did not understand then that these were not ordinary qualities. They were rare. They were grounding. They were home. Now every new face feels like a shadow of what they lost. Every laugh feels thinner. Every connection feels incomplete. Because there is no one else who carries your frequency. Your way of seeing beyond words. Your quiet strength. Your ability to hold space without needing recognition. Aquarius, have you noticed how people often recognize light only after the room grows dark? They begin to replay moments in their mind. Things you said. Things you felt. Moments they dismissed too quickly. And in that reflection, a realization forms. Not as regret alone, but as awareness. They finally see that love is not proven through grand gestures, but through presence. Through listening. Through choosing someone even when it is not convenient. This is not a collapse. It is an awakening. Because when illusions fall away, what remains is truth. Clear. Undeniable. And the truth is this. You were not replaceable. You were irreplaceable. You did not lose them. They lost a version of life where your energy made everything softer. Yet this is not about holding on to the past. It is about honoring what it revealed. That you deserve a connection where your patience is cherished, your kindness is protected, and your stability is met with equal care. What would your heart choose if you trusted that you are worthy of something deeper? Aquarius, this moment carries quiet power. Not because someone else finally sees your value, but because you never have to shrink it again. Somewhere in this unfolding, you are being guided toward a love that recognizes you without needing to lose you first. And as this awareness continues to rise, another truth is preparing to reveal itself. Stay close. There is more light waiting just ahead. It arrives on an ordinary day. Nothing in the air warns you. No sign, no preparation. Your phone lights up, and for a second, your body remembers a feeling it no longer needs. There is a pause before you answer. Not because you are afraid, but because you are no longer waiting. When the voice reaches you, it sounds smaller, uncertain. Like someone standing at the edge of something they finally see. There is silence between words, the kind that carries weight, the kind that holds what has never been said. They do not begin with an apology. They do not search for forgiveness. They speak a truth they can no longer hide. They are unhappy. And in that moment, Aquarius, you feel a strange calm. Not relief, not victory. Freedom. Because the sound of their confession no longer holds power over you. It only confirms what your soul already knew. You listen without needing to respond. You hear the loneliness behind the voice. The quiet unraveling of a life that lost its center. You realize something important. Their pain is not yours to carry. Their awakening is not yours to complete. Have you noticed how clarity feels lighter than closure? There was a time when this call would have shaken your world. When you would have rushed to fix, to hold, to return. But now, your heart rests in a different place. A place where peace is no longer conditional. You are not cold. You are whole. And in that wholeness, you see the difference between love and responsibility. Between compassion and self-sacrifice. Between what belongs to you and what never did. The conversation fades. Not in anger. Not in sadness. Just in acceptance. You place the phone down and feel the quiet around you. It no longer feels empty. It feels open. Like a horizon waiting for sunrise. Aquarius, you did not become stronger overnight. You became clearer. And clarity changes everything. You begin to understand that some connections were meant to awaken you, not remain with you. That some people enter your life to reveal who you are, not to define where you stay. What would your life look like if you trusted the peace you now feel? This moment is not the end of a story, it is the opening of a deeper one. Because when you release what no longer aligns, you make space for something that does. Stay close. There is more unfolding within you. The air feels different now, lighter. Like the moment just before dawn when the world exhales. You are not standing where you used to stand. Not in your heart. Not in your spirit. There was a time when you searched for understanding as if it were oxygen. You tried to explain yourself to people who were never ready to listen. But something inside you has shifted. Quietly. Completely. Now the energy around you has changed. People feel it before they understand it. They sense that you no longer reach for what once rejected you. And when they come back, it is not because you called them in. It is because your absence finally spoke. They see you now. Not through longing, but through loss. You do not smile. You do not gloat. You simply breathe. Because you are no longer waiting to be chosen. You have already chosen yourself. Aquarius, this is not a rise built on ego. It is built on clarity, on the deep knowing that your worth was never conditional. You did not become someone new. You remembered who you always were. There is strength in the way you walk now. Not rushed. Not guarded. Just grounded. You notice how your silence holds more weight than all the words you once used to defend your heart. This is not revenge. It is release. You no longer return to rooms that taught you how to leave yourself behind. What would happen if you trusted the power you feel in your stillness? Your presence is no longer an offering. It is a standard. And the universe responds when standards rise. You begin to attract without chasing. You receive without asking. You hold space without shrinking. The world mirrors back the respect you finally gave yourself. And here is the sacred truth. They do not miss you because you were perfect. They miss you because you were real. They remember the safety in your energy, the steadiness of your heart, the way you loved without performance. Now they understand what they lost. But you are no longer meant to return to the place where your light was once questioned. You are not closing a door in anger. You are opening one within. There is a new horizon forming around you, quite bright. Unfamiliar in the best way. You are no longer in the position of waiting. You are in the position of becoming. Aquarius, you are stepping into a version of yourself that does not beg to be seen, because your energy now speaks before you do. And somewhere in the distance, life is preparing something that can finally meet you where you stand. Stay with this feeling. It is the sound of your power settling in. There is a quiet echo that follows certain choices. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady like a shadow that never rushes but never leaves. You can feel it when the air grows still. When the world seems to pause for half a breath, this is where the truth settles. She is not surrounded by flames or chaos. There is no spectacle, no grand punishment. There is only the room she created by walking away from what was real. Sometimes karma does not arrive as loss of money, or status, or the life others admire from a distance. Sometimes it arrives as an empty space that cannot be filled no matter how many voices enter. You sense it in the silence she carries, not the peaceful kind, the kind that lingers after the noise fades. She looks around and realizes that everything she once dismissed was the very ground that could have held her steady. The patience she saw as weakness, the kindness she thought was ordinary, the stability she believed would always be there, all of it gone, not taken, released. Aquarius, this is not about her suffering. It is about the lesson she now lives inside. She is not cursed. She is simply standing in the life she chose without the warmth she once ignored. There is a moment when memory becomes heavy, when it presses on the heart like a hand asking to be acknowledged. You can almost hear her whisper in the dark, "If only I had listened." But time does not return to answer. This is where you feel compassion without carrying her weight, understanding without reopening your door. Because you have learned something sacred. You cannot rescue someone from a reality they built with open eyes, and you were never meant to. Your role was not to save her. It was to show what was possible through the way you loved. Now the universe holds up a mirror, not to shame her, but to teach. Every soul must walk its own reflection. You are no longer connected to the outcome. You are connected to your peace. And that peace is not cold. It is clear. There is a difference. You are allowed to move forward without carrying the story of someone who chose not to stay. What would it feel like to fully trust that this ending was also a beginning for you? You can feel the horizon shifting again. Soft, wide, open. Your heart is no longer bracing for impact. It is learning how to rest. And somewhere beyond the night, beyond regret, beyond the echo of what could have been, there is a new alignment forming just for you. Stay here a moment longer. Let this truth settle. You are free. There is a soft light now. Not the kind that blinds, The kind that warms your skin when you step outside after a long night. You may not even notice it at first. It does not announce itself. It simply arrives in small moments. In the way your breath feels lighter. In the way your shoulders no longer carry a quiet ache. You did not lose anything. You released what was never meant to define you. Look at your life now. It moves differently. Your mornings feel slower. Your heart does not rush to explain itself anymore. There is peace where there used to be tension. Strength where there used to be doubt. Freedom where there used to be waiting. You are no longer measuring your worth by who stays or who returns. You are beginning to recognize yourself without a reflection from someone else. This is what growth feels like. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady. Like learning to walk again on ground that finally supports you. You can feel your energy changing. People sense it when you enter a room, not because you try. Because you no longer need permission to exist fully. You are not closed. You are open with boundaries. And that is wisdom. Aquarius, you have always been a bridge between worlds. A soul that sees the future before it arrives. Now you are standing inside a version of yourself that once felt impossible. There is a quiet confidence in your voice, a gentleness in the way you move through the day. You are not chasing. You are choosing. What would it feel like to trust that you are already enough exactly as you are right now? You no longer need anyone to come back to confirm your value. You are the value. The universe is responding to this shift. Doors feel lighter to open. Paths feel clearer. Even the unknown feels less frightening and more like an invitation. You are learning how to rest without guilt. How to dream without fear of losing yourself again. There is space in your life now for something real. Something that does not require you to shrink or explain or prove. You have become your own safe place. And from this place, everything changes. You are not starting over. You are starting true. Feel the way your heart expands when you imagine what is possible now. This is your new life. Not perfect, but honest, alive, yours. Stay with this feeling. Let it guide you forward. There is a quiet knowing that settles into you now. Not a thought. Not a memory. A presence. It feels like standing beneath a night sky where the stars are no longer distant. They feel close, like they are watching you breathe. You were never meant to stay small. Never meant to carry the weight of someone else's confusion. Your spirit was built for awakening. For opening doors inside hearts that had forgotten how to feel. Aquarius, you are not here to endure. You are here to remind the world what truth feels like. There are souls who only recognize the light after it has left the room. Not because you failed them, but because their eyes were still closed. And when they finally see, the lesson will echo quietly inside them. Not as regret, but as understanding. You are not the punishment. You are the message. Your life is not a reaction to the past anymore. It is a declaration of who you are becoming. Each step you take now creates a frequency others can feel even if they do not have words for it. You move differently. You listen differently. You love with clarity instead of sacrifice. There is a sacred strength in you that does not demand recognition. It simply radiates. You no longer chase connections that drain you. You welcome those that meet you where you stand. This is how alignment feels. Quiet, steady, real. What would happen if you trusted that every ending was a doorway into your truest self? The universe has been guiding you all along. Through silence. Through separation. Through the nights you questioned your worth. Now you stand on the other side of that storm. Not untouched, but transformed. Your voice carries wisdom. Your presence carries peace. Your heart carries a light that cannot be dimmed by misunderstanding. Some will remember you as the one who changed them. Others will remember you as the one they let go of too soon. Both are part of your legacy. You are not waiting anymore. You are living. Feel how your breath deepens, how your chest opens, how the future no longer feels heavy. This is your awakening. And if you are here, listening now, know this. You were chosen not to suffer, but to rise. Stay close to this truth. Let it guide every step forward. And now, Aquarius, just pause for a moment. Feel the stillness around you. Feel the quiet strength rising inside your chest. Not loud, not dramatic, just real. What you just walked through was not a story. It was a remembering of who you were before you learned to shrink, of who you are when you finally choose yourself. You did not lose anything. You released what could not walk with you into this next season. And here is the surprise: you were never being tested. You were being prepared. Prepared to love without fear, to see without illusion, to stand in your truth without apology. There is a new frequency surrounding you now. People will feel it. Opportunities will feel it. Even the silence will feel different. This is the energy of alignment. This is what happens when the soul finally says yes. So if something in you feels lighter tonight, if your heart feels seen, if your spirit feels calm and awake, then this message found you for a reason. And I want to hear from you. Type in the comments, "I choose my truth," or simply, I am ready. Your words will carry power. They will anchor this new chapter into your life. If you felt connected here, if this voice felt like home, stay with us. Subscribe. Be part of this growing circle of awakened souls. Because this is not the end. This is the opening. Another message is already forming. Another door is preparing to open. And when it does, you will be ready to walk through it. Until then, Aquarius, trust yourself. Trust the timing. Trust the light you carry. You are guided. You are protected. You are exactly where you need to be. The journey continues.